9 is a discussion possible action for advanced construction is requesting a waiver for residential water meters with they're taking single lots and made some of them into double lots so that they can have 3-car garages and etc. My question, I guess, does that affect Badger meter in any way?
Not in particular. If I may, the lots were not necessarily doubled up. They were increased in width. And,
yeah.
And the good thing is, we worked with the Stonehaven developer, and
he's here tonight.
yeah, I think that he might like to speak on their behalf.
Okay.
I wrote you a memo about what staff's opinion is that there's reasons why we don't put meters in driveways, and there's only 3 of them that are not in compliance now. I'd like to, I have the drawings here if you want to see them, but I would invite the contractor to speak if you would like.
Thanks. Yeah,
You're on, Mike.
Thanks, appreciate it. You know, we're in the business of selling homes, you know, bringing more people into Mesquite. And it makes it difficult when we have a community that we purchased that was already set up. Those lots were already in place, so in order for us to kind of accommodate what's going on in Mesquite and what's selling in Mesquite, we had to widen those lots so we could get some 3-car garages on there, stuff like that, which then doesn't follow your guidelines. So our problem is just like anybody else, when you buy a new home in a new community, last thing you want is a bunch of cuts in your road. Homeowners don't want it, and we definitely don't want it. We don't want the added expense to go and do it. You know, it's hard enough trying to make a buck in the industry now, as opposed to adding additional cost to it. We understand that you would like to have that as a standard moving forward, which we're all for. Phase 2, you know, we'd be more than happy to put those meters wherever you want them. But where we've taken this development and I'm trying to adapt it to what's going on in Mesquite, just makes it kind of difficult. Where I think there's some give and take that we could, you know, we can go in and cap off the ones that are extra, but in order for us to saw cut through the whole, you know, the road and then the curb and gutter and sidewalks, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to us.
How many meters are we talking about?
3.
3?
I was up at the subdivision. I noticed that most of the meters are in the sidewalk, correct? Now on these 3 houses, it just so happens there's no sidewalk, right?
There'll be only 1 without a sidewalk, so 2 out of the 3 will actually land within the sidewalk itself.
Okay.
They're not going to be, they'll be in the path of the driveway, but they're not going to be in the driveway. They'll be in the sidewalk, where all the other meters are at.
And the 3rd one, what's the story with it?
There's only a sidewalk on one side of the street.
Right.
So
the
the other
one
one will
doesn't
be whatever that offset is, 2 feet off of back a curb or whatever it is, but it would be considered the driveway.
In the driveway.
Same distance as the others that are in the sidewalk, it's just gonna be considered driveway instead of sidewalk.
Ken, don't we have quite a few meters that are in the driveways now? I know a few, I don't know, but I know a few homes that
We have
sold
some.
and
Not half of Mesquite, isn't it?
have had them.
No, not nearly.
And isn't the box, in this case, doesn't it have to be traffic rated? The box and the lid?
It is. We have found that there's still damage if, you know, a car parks on it or drives over it more. We don't have meters in the street. That's one of the reasons why. Is that, you know, there is more damage. Like in Coyote Willows area, you find occasional boxes that are very close to driveways, or somebody's expanded their driveway and put it in a driveway when they did that. And even in Coyote Willows, though, at least the parts that I walk through a lot, they're not. These specs have been in place for, I don't know how many years, more than 10 or 12. And since then, it's been the standard not to put them in driveways. So.
When it could be helped.
Pardon me?
When it could be helped.
Well, it's actually, they don't go into driveways unless there is a waiver from the board, because it's in our specifications. they don't go in driveways. It has been a problem where the staff has gone out to turn off a water supply or turn on a water supply or replace a meter, and there was something, a vehicle parked on top of it, and they may not even been home, you know.
How often does that happen?
Not real often, but as a
And
principle.
anymore, you don't have to lift the lid to read the meter, right? I mean, it's
You
all
don't have
done.
to lift it to read it, but to turn the water on or off,
Off.
or
Or
work
to
on the meter.
fix a leak or.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're more than willing to work with you on that, on any new subdivision moving forward. We're just trying to keep the costs down on what we've kind of inherited in order to, you know, get these things taken care of.
Mike, could you go back over how many meters will end up this way?
There's 3.
3. So we're not talking about a big deal here, right?
And two are gonna be in sidewalks.
Right. 2 will be in a sidewalk, within a sidewalk. just-
Which, like the rest of them, just, it'll be in, falling to the,
Right.
So if we were to give you an exception on this with the understanding, it would be in the minutes, the understanding would be that any future lots, this couldn't be the case in the future, right?
Right.
We've got a gentleman from the audience here that wants to ask.
Dennis Morgan, I represent Construction West for Royal Vista. We've got 11 of them to abandon and 6 of them to put on the lots that we also made bigger for 3-car garages. So I'd like to piggyback on the waiver if we can. We're talking $20,000 to move all of these meters and put new ones in.
You're gonna run into some of that because pretty much all the lots that are left right now that are available, that are finished lots ready to go in Mesquite, were done back in the boom, and they're all skinny little lots that aren't selling right now. So if a developer comes along and wants to do something with that lot, they've got to address the size of those lots. They're gonna have to expand those lots if they want to sell lots.
and, you know, of course, the business I'm in, I understand what you're talking about, because you end up buying something and obviously it hasn't been working for some reason. You know, maybe the lots were too small, the house, the product wasn't selling. So you buy it, now you have to adapt to something that you can sell. So you know, when the crash hit, there was a lot of vacant land, a lot of vacant lots, a lot of half-built homes, a lot of homes that are being turned over now that, I mean, they're,
This gentleman back here, I know that actually this is,
Yeah, how many lots would you say
Yeah,
total
how many
that are
lots do
finished
you
lots
have?
up there that we're gonna experience?
We have 94 lots. Now, it started at over 100, 111, I think.
so how many lots are gonna be affected in a similar
11.
way?
11, he said.
11?
are they gonna end up in the,
There's 11 abandoned and then 6 new ones, so you've got, they're within inches of the property line.
well, I'd hate to say, you know, obviously we can't take any action on your item.
Correct.
But
Yeah, I'm just curious.
now, go ahead.
If I may, is that we did make some accommodations by saying that, well, if it's at least 5 feet away from the driveway, it doesn't have to be in the property line. So that allowed for several of them to stay in place. And of the ones that we did request changes made, numerous of them were changed. I don't remember how many, but you have made several meter relocations, correct?
I don't think we've made any meter relocations yet.
So what you
up
did
to this
was
point.
just remove laterals?
Mhm.
Okay.
Which is just basically cutting a square out at where your main is, you're digging down and capping.
Okay, until I take a little more time, I can't.
Is there any booster Vanguard pipe up there that we're gonna have to go back in and,
This one fortunately appears to be newer than that.
or does it?
We've already checked all the pipes up there.
I like the way you're thinking
Already
about it.
checked.
Yes.
You know, I think with this economy and what's going on, we're looking at 3 homes that could make a big difference for them and for, you know, if people are here and wanting to come and wanting to buy, that for 3 homes, I don't see any reason to not make an exception at this time. I think it's important for our economy, and I think it's
Yeah,
important for these
I agree with
builders.
you, Sandra. We're gonna ask Dave back here.
Yeah, just Dave Baldwin, just comment is, I think it's reasonable to do it, but I think what should be somehow put in the stipulation of that site, that any repairs that require the cut of the driveway or anything are the responsibility of the homeowner, not the water district. I think that's a compromise that would work.
Yeah, and also that, you know, in an emergency situation, if a car has to be moved or towed, that, I mean,
Would that have to be deed restricted when you did that on those lots?
I don't think so. It's really only one lot.
You would have to divulge
Talking
that and
about.
sell that house, if that one, there's that liability there that nobody else has.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna tell them how to do their job, but if I was selling the house, I'd definitely disclose to them that, you know, the meter was in the driveway. So,
I think that Mr. Volwick's comment is very good, and that's another concern of ours, is that potentially, you know, when you have a meter in a driveway, then not only does it present a bit of a liability for us if there's a failure of that pipe, but also for the homeowner, because that means their line is probably will at least start in the driveway. And if there's a failure of it, it means jackhammer or socket. So, just, you know, and I'm sensitive to the issue too. Nobody wants their house to cost $1,500 more or whatever because that had to be done.
well, I thought it was significant, more than 1,500 apiece, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To change those laterals?
Yeah, by the time you cut and dig out and put back.
That's one of our-
And we all know that the resurfacing never.
Yeah, it's never gonna be the same.
It'd be the
That's what-
same.
Okay, what's everybody's?
About $9,200.
9,200 a house?
And first of all, I want to say that we've been involved somewhat in this project, and so my law firm has been, so, not in these issues. In fact, these issues are brand new to me, but just as a matter of disclosure, we've been involved in the Stone Haven project. Having said that.
Were you the trustee for the foreclosure?
No. The one thing I want the board to be aware of is that right now, the policies and procedures, the specifications do seem to suggest that it's not okay to place these in the driveway. And I fully agree with what I think is a consensus of the board members to make an exception here, given the circumstances. Will need to be consistent going forward in all other cases. That if someone else comes forward in substantially similar circumstances as this request, the board would need to act consistent with that. We could even consider, you know, making that essentially part of the criteria that's considered in the future if these specifications are ever addressed again, so that we're always acting consistent with our policies, and if exceptions are made, they're always consistent. The other thing I was thinking is just what Dave was thinking, and I think a release of liability signed in favor of the water district, that if any damage results from this exception, that's the responsibility of the owner. And I think Carl is also correct that that's something that would have to be given notice to whatever subsequent purchaser of that property you know, might come about. That person's on notice of those same, you know, that same situation, yeah. So that they're buying that property knowing that, look, if there's ever a problem with this water meter, certainly we hope that there's not going to be one, but they at least know that the district's not going to be responsible, and if a vehicle has to be moved or there's damage, whatever, that that's something they've accepted when they decided to purchase that lot.
Okay, that's pretty good advice.
And that could be very, very simple. I mean, that could be a one-page document.
Okay.
And how, would that be recorded?
I think it would have to be, yeah, just so that, you know, because I don't know that you guys would know what's being disclosed to the subsequent purchaser in the future, but if it's recorded, then it's in the chain of title forever, and the district's always protected.
Yeah, I think I've owned myself a couple of houses with them in the driveway, because that used to be fairly common, you know, and I never had any problems. That doesn't mean the problems don't happen. I can understand why we have the policy. But I've been in that position myself and never had a problem with it. I've seen people where they get broke out around the cement and stuff once in a while.
Okay, so is somebody ready to make a motion down there?
I think Carl is, he's the one that had all the
Somebody make a motion
he had all the good safeguards.
and let Bo put the language in there for the liability?
I don't know, is that what you wanna do?
It's your motion.
It's your
If-
motion, Ben. Do
Potentially.
anything you want.
I would move then we give Henderson Construction, is that correct?
NRC.
NRC Construction a waiver on 3 existing lots, allowing them to place the meters in a non-approved position, either in the driveway or within 5 feet of the property
Okay.
line. Is that correct? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
5 feet of the property line. On the condition that the homeowner would be liable for any dead end that are in the driveway required cutting, the homeowner would be responsible for any repairs required. And I guess you would draft that up, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think that can be simple. Do you guys have any concern with that, or?
No, like I said, we do utility
Yeah.
waivers and stuff like that, so.
I would also suggest in the motion that we do this with the understanding that we may have to be consistent and do this again in the future with some in the Canyon Crest area. We might as well put it on the record that we
Right.
agreed to do that if we're gonna do it.
Sure. Do you want to, Carl, have something in the chain of title so that future owners know about their responsibility relative to the meter, or I know that we would get a release, I think, from NRC. Do you specifically want that to be recorded, or?
I don't know whether I really think that we need to go to that extent, but you're the attorney, I'm not, so if you need to do what you think is.
Well,
necessary.
this is the concern. A homeowner, let's say they did have damage, and maybe we're talking only 1,500, whatever we're talking, they could look at the policy and say, hey, look, you know, all we know is what's written in your policy. We don't have any other knowledge that, you know, 10 years ago, this agreement was made. We're not gonna look at the district's minutes or anything. So if we don't put it in the chain of title, a homeowner's easily gonna be able to say, I'm just going off of your guys' documents and I had no notice that I had any responsibility for anything.
That's quite prevalent with foreclosures and that too. You buy the house, and unless it's in there, they wouldn't know that situation existed, so I think that's good.
Probably 90% of our liability is in a lateral breaking, and because of the equipment we currently use for repairing laterals, it's not even necessary to even, I mean, we don't even need to be concerned about it in that case, because we're pulling the laterals through from the break, or from the shut-off valve in the street. So the street would have to be dug up anyway, but we'd have to pay for that anyway, so there's no additional cost to us, only in the event that there's an actual break right in the meter box, which is not very common.
Was one of the concerns that the vehicles driving over the meter boxes, that the meter boxes would break? Is that,
Yeah, they are vehicle rated, but, you know, somebody could have a dually and park it right on top, and also some of them have transmitters that are right on top of the cover itself too.
Ones I've seen broken normally occur when you have some settling and the box and the side, or the driveway don't settle the same rate, and you end up with a lip sticking up, and then it gets broken. That's what occurs.
So in that situation, in the past, what has the district done? Has the district required the homeowner to replace that, or has the district done that? Who's been responsible for that?
I don't know, do you remember, Aaron? I think that probably.
We got
because
quite
of
a
our
few of them around
policies,
town that are in driveways, I know we do.
we don't have an exception like this, so I think that probably it's still our responsibility because we allowed it to go in that way in the past.
Depends on which side the break is on. If it's the street side of the meter, the water district has to take care of it. If it's on the property owner's side, he has to take care of it, jackhammer out the concrete driveway, get it fixed by a plumber, and then try to match that concrete.
And
That's not gonna work.
That's true.
That's the point I'm making, is it sounds like these are going in the driveway of the properties, of the owner's property, and in the event the water district is making a concession by allowing them to place that in a location which is more likely to break, does the water district want to assume the responsibility of having to replace that, or do you want to make it very clear that, look, this is where it's located, you bought the property, that's where it is, there's gonna be no question that you guys are responsible for any break by virtue of it being placed in a driveway as opposed to some other more safe location?
Well, then we're not consistent with our policy with everybody else, that if anything's on the street side of the meter, that we take care of it. Because you're saying anywhere in there.
I think I fully agree that anything on the property owner's property is their responsibility. We should always act that way, in my opinion. I think that in case there has been a question in the past where we may have gone beyond that in making a repair, I think that practice should stop, and I think if an owner's clearly on notice that the water district's not gonna be responsible, we would avoid.
I think you misunderstand what I'm saying. What I'm saying, Bo, is that if they, and this gentleman said it a lot better than me, obviously, because I understood him. But what he's saying is if they were out on the street like they normally are, or, you know, in my case, it's, where I live, they're in the sidewalk. But the water district, if it's on the homeowner's side, the homeowner has to fix it anyway, even if it's out on the sidewalk.
Right.
Anything that, from the meter is the key, it's not where the box is, it's the meter. And so if the meter is in the driveway and the line breaks going into the house, we're not gonna be responsible for it anyway.
Right.
It's based on where the meter is and not, I mean, where the meter pipe starts into the house.
Well, yeah, I mean, my suggestion is anything at all, be it a lateral, a meter, whatever, if it's located on the owner's property, they should be responsible. We're also dealing with a situation, are there streets in Stonehaven private streets, or are they public streets? So we're also dealing with private streets, and so we've attempted to also be clear that when we're dealing with private streets, the district, at least my opinion has been, to protect the district from liability, is that anytime you're dealing with private property, the district is not going to be assuming responsibility.
Will you tell us what you want to do, and we'll add that into the motion, and then we'll vote on it.
Well, just a minute, we got a couple other comments here. Ken, you got something to add?
Just an idea, I think this has been a good discussion, but the box itself in a driveway can sometimes break because of the differential settling and the fact that there's vehicles traveling over it, whereas if it were not in the driveway, if it were in the grass or in the sidewalk, it would be highly unlikely that vehicle is traversing on it. So I think that the issue may be, the additional issue, putting a meter in a driveway, is that if the box fails, which is normally us, we replace the box, we fix it. But if it's in a driveway, replacing the box becomes more difficult, more expensive. And maybe that is a liability that we want the homeowner to know, is that the box itself, even though it's a property of VVWD, repair of it becomes the responsibility of the owner if it's in the driveway. if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Box.
I think we're all saying the same thing. We
Okay.
just wanna make sure the district is as protected as it can be, and the owner knows what their responsibility is going on.
Aaron, do you have something?
I was
We'll
gonna,
amend that.
a similar thing, because when you get a leak, it can undermine, and then it can cause settling as well, so. Or if there's ever stamped concrete or things of that nature, that could be, matching the concrete could be an issue. I mean, there's-
All right, Carl, your motion is
Sorry.
really confusing.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah,
There was one
if
more
I-
question.
The other thing, and this may be a rehash of what's already been said also, but if it's not recorded, then that subsequent homeowner is gonna be back here saying the exact same thing that Mike just said. That is, we bought a property and, you know, we're just trying to, you know, and so that, by recording it, you alleviate any of that potential problem down the road.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So this is just gonna be pertaining to the box itself. If there's a box placed in a driveway and that box ends up busted because they drive over it so often, that's the homeowner's responsibility. But if there's a break in the line or whatever, you're still gonna take care of anything behind the meter, in front of
Before the
front of
meter,
before the
upstream of the
Yeah,
meter.
okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I don't know that the district has a formal policy on, well, that's been a major issue in this prior litigation we were involved in. And at this point, the district has made an agreement to go into those HOAs that have been impacted by the bruiser pipe, and they've been doing what you just described. Whether or not the district is gonna go forward and do that in every situation, I don't think the district has made that determination. And I think it has to do with the fact that those are private streets.
But didn't you put the pipe in?
We didn't, no.
The
The developer was the
did?
pipe in, yeah.
All right.
All right, Carl, you're on.
Okay, we can start over, or we can just amend what we said, but we'll start over, okay?
You got that down there, Mary?
Yeah, you got it, Mary, what I just said?
Yeah, I have most of it, but I don't have the form to record it.
Okay, let's start again then. The motion is that we allow a exemption for the three properties described, and we will allow those to either be placed in the driveway or 5 feet from the property line, no further than 5 feet from the property line. And the owner would be responsible, we would be responsible for normal service to the lateral into the meter. Beyond the meter, it would be as it is with all other homes, as our policy. And the box would have to be replaced. If the box is damaged in the driveway, would be the responsibility of the homeowner.
We've got another question, but
Along with that box, if it's damaged and the vehicle drives over, most likely the meter and transponder inside are gonna be damaged. I mean, it's a highly likelihood those will go together. I mean, the box goes, the weight's gonna go down onto the meter and transponder, and which, those are pricey items. So, I mean, if it's,
what if it's a faulty meter though, Aaron?
say what?
What if it's a faulty meter?
Well, then we would
And it
repair it.
causes the box to fail? I mean,
If it undermines, if it's a meter and it's leaking or whatever, and it undermines the
It
soil
would be the
underneath.
meter then, but if the leak was in front, or in the back side of the
in
meter,
the back and
then we would.
undermined, okay, I follow.
So, again,
I
this
follow.
is not, this is if the box failed with traffic, you know, whatever caused
The
the
box fails due to something on the homeowner's side of
Correct.
the.
And then it causes the
Gotcha.
degradation of the meter, the transponder, I don't, anyway.
I think it's simple, just say, if they want a variance to put in the driveway, then they're responsible for any damage to the homeowner has to take responsibility for the repair of the driveway, for any type of repair that may happen or may be required, whether it's, damage due to the foundation because of leakage, anything. They chose to put it in the driveway, they're responsible for all repairs to that driveway if repairs have to be made, period. Well, no matter what the cause, otherwise you're gonna get.
I don't agree with that, what if it's our fault, if our equipment's
Well,
faulty?
yeah, but if it's outside of the driveway, then it's easy to fix. You're making a special consideration to put it in the driveway under special conditions.
Not necessarily, I mean, because there's so many of them that are in sidewalks. You're in concrete anyways. Just because you're in a concrete in the driveway doesn't mean any difference. Same distance off of the back of curb, you're in concrete.
My house is the same way, it's in the sidewalk.
Mine's in my driveway, so I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sympathetic to it. I'm just saying, if there's somebody comes in my lease, I'm gonna have to repair my driveway, so.
Ken?
If I could suggest one small amendment to Carl's statement is that, he said, in the driveway or within 5 feet of the property line, I would leave out the 5 feet of the property line to say, or other approved, Birch Valley Water District approved location, because we've already made several accommodations where he's not
Okay.
within 5 feet of the property line.
He's only talking about 3 properties, and only one's in a driveway and 2 are 5 feet, so,
Well,
we're arguing
no,
over
well,
one, we're down to arguing over one
Well,
house.
they're actually all 3 within,
Yeah, so they're not necessarily within 5 feet of the side property lines. They're within,
we've allowed him to have other meter locations that are not in driveways without relocating them, that are no longer within 5 feet of the property line.
You wanna just take out the side? You got that, Mary? Take the 5 feet.
Okay.
I just didn't want you to plagiarize yourself.
Okay. Okay, we got a motion, do we have a second?
Mary, are you clear? Can you, okay, I didn't think she was clear on that.
I'll just listen to the tape.
Okay.
I got the first motion clear, but
Yeah, I think
the
the first
amendment is
motion,
he's gotten,
my understanding, I think the first motion was right on. I just think it was a decision as to whether or not you guys wanted to add the recording or not add the recording, I think is, was the only question.
Mary, could you read the first motion?
give NRC Construction a waiver on 3 existing lots allowing to place the meter in a non-approved position, either in driveway or within 5 feet of driveway, on conditions that homeowner is responsible for any repairs, and with Bo drafting a document for recording, but
So you wanna take the 5 feet out of it then, Ken? Because I already said in or non-conventional, non-approved, whatever I said.
Okay.
Take the 5 feet out.
Okay.
Ken, I think you can take the thing out about both drafting something unless that's the direction the board wants to go. I didn't hear that, so I heard that we sound like nobody else.
Well, I think that was what she was waiting to hear, is if we wanted to have the.
right, because Bo, that's what he
document
recommended.
recorded. Yeah. So I think, I mean, I'm willing to, ready to support your motion, but I would like to have Bo, have a document recorded that notifies any future homeowners of the condition.
Okay. Can you do that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you giving us a second down there, Mr. Fuller?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, call for the vote.
Aye.
4 in favor, 1 abstain.
thanks.
Thanks, gentlemen, that covers you down there, too.
He'll need,
No, I mean, but you're comfortable with what's going on there. All
We
right.
might not have the same issues here on all 11 of them.
But you'll bring it to the board, put on the agenda.
Do you want that put on the next agenda?
That'd be great.
Okay. Mary, we can.
Okay, we can put that.
I'll need something in writing. I don't know who you are or what project or anything you're talking about, so you'll need to.
Dennis Morgan, Royal Vista.
Okay.
Construction West is
Can you still submit something in writing?
I'm sorry?
Submit something in writing what you're requesting.
Okay, that's the 19th.
May I address that? If you could also, sir, include a set of drawings for review by our inspectors and me, in the areas where you'd like to have exceptions. Okay.
You want these drawings?
But we'd like to see what your exceptions are, what the natures of them are, and where they are, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.